Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Kelly Rafalski. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator with NetElixir. I want to thank everyone for joining us for our first annual Battle of the Best Practices Ad Copy Championship. I'm sure you're all dying to hear the results and the winners, so let's get started. So a little bit about who we are. We've been around for 10 years now with a mission to help digital marketers succeed online. We're headquartered here in Princeton, New Jersey, and we have an office in London and Hyderabad, India. And we are a growing team of search marketers with an astounding over 5.5 million hours of hands-on SEM marketing experience. So here's a glimpse into our business lines. As you can see, we offer several search marketing services for our clients, including exceptional ad copy messaging, which you'll see more of today. We also have our own proprietary technology called Elixir. Currently, we have over 20 free tools being utilized by thousands of businesses in 170 countries. And finally, we have our own consulting services, which includes analytics, digital marketing strategy, and executive dashboard design. At NetElixir, the big focus for us is to really understand the intent behind every click. So what the users are thinking, what are they feeling, what is compelling them to click on an ad. So our data scientists have been analyzing the data to really understand and humanize every click. And this webinar is a prime example of our team's hard work. So here's a glimpse into just some of the great clients we get to work with every day. They're from all different verticals in both retail and the travel industries. And we are also very proud of our partnership with UPS. So about our speakers today. Our brain behind today's webinar is Emma O'Sullivan. She is the Content Development Specialist here at NetElixir, as well as the leader of the Ad Lab project, which aspires to combine the rigor of data analytics and the art of creating compelling ad messages. And if you want to connect with Emma, connect with her on LinkedIn. And our co-presenter today is our founder and CEO, Udayan Bose. He started his career at partybingo.com, and when he's not running NetElixir full-time, he's also a guest lecturer at Cornell University, City University of New York, and the India School of Business. And feel free to connect with Udayan on LinkedIn also.
All right, thank you, Kelly, and welcome everyone to the first ever Ad Copy Championship event. To get started, I'm going to first walk you through our game plan for this project, and then we'll jump right into our ad copy battles. The idea behind this project was to see which ad copy best practices really are the best. There are tons of best practice and top 10 ad copy strategies lists online, but we wanted to find out how all of these ad copy tactics perform when you compare them against each other. To find out, we first researched 15 of the most recommended ad copy messaging strategies. We then collected all of our client ad copies using these strategies, both for B2B and B2C retailers. Next, we removed trademark ads and ads with under 100 impressions to ensure the accuracy of our results. After analyzing over 10,000 ad copies, we then indexed our data using the average click-through rate in our study, ranking ad performance from a scale of 1 to 100. Last but not least, we declared our ad copy champions. Before we get started, I wanted to quickly walk you through the parts of an AdWords text ad. First, you have your headline, which acts like a link to your website, followed by your description lines 1 and 2, and then your display URL. Your headline can only be 25 characters, and your description lines and the display URL can only be 35 characters each, which leaves you with just 130 characters total for your entire ad copy. That isn't a lot of room, so every character really does count. Knowing this, we began this test to find out what the best ways to use this space really are. Without any further ado, let the games begin. For our first round, we wanted to find out what the impact of an exclamation point really is. We've been told to always end ads with an exclamation point to excite users, but we wanted to find out what difference it really does make and what impact there will be if we take it out. We found that the exclamation point really does make a difference. We analyzed both B2C and B2B retailers and found that there was a tie for B2C with a click-through rate lift of just 2%. However, Shop Now with an exclamation point won for our B2B retailers with an average click-through rate lift of 29%. Udayan, can you share some of your insights on why this was the case?
Well, first of all, I must say that I am absolutely privileged to have someone like Emma conduct this. At NetElixir, we sort of take a lot of pride in terms of calling ourselves fanatically analytical. And honestly speaking, the way that Emma, you have injected mathematics into the fine art of ad copy creation is amazing. So, I mean, honestly speaking, I'm not by any stroke of imagination a professor in psychology, but what we feel is more of an hypothesis. And according to us, the exclamation mark or adding just a simple exclamation mark after the shop now or buy now really conveys this level of urgency. I mean, it's somehow, it's something very, very funny, because how can just one exclamation mark really drive so much of an intent? But we believe that urgency really leads to a higher click-through rate. And even more interesting, which honestly speaking was something that I really sort of couldn't really have foreseen, is the impact of exclamation mark after the call to action was actually higher for the B2B advertisers, which was again very interesting. Back to you, Emma.
Thank you, Dan. So for round 2, we wanted to test 2 popular unique selling points for text ads, advertising your high quality or your wide variety of products. While both of these ad copy messaging tactics are good, we wanted to know if one was better than the other, since you may not have room to include both in your ad copy. Before we reveal our results, we want to hear what you guys think. Which ad copy variant do you think got the higher click-through rate, high quality or wide variety? I'm going to throw up a poll really quick, so if you guys can fill that out. All right, I see some votes coming in. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds and then we'll reveal the results. All right, I'm going to close it now. And here are the results. So you guys are pretty evenly split, but it looks like more of you thought that high quality was going to win.
56%. Wow, yeah.
For this test, we actually found the same thing and found that high quality was the winner. We analyzed data from both B2C and B2B retailers and found that there was a tie for our B2B test with a click-through rate of 0%. However, high quality won for our B2C retailers with an average click-through rate lift of 38%. Udayan, why do you suspect that high quality was the winner?
Again, an interesting question, and honestly speaking, I must start with a disclaimer that this is, honestly speaking, a composition of multiple things and multiple factors. Like the product category also defines a significant chunk in terms of high quality versus wide variety. Also the strength of your brand, etc., etc. But what was really intriguing to us is just the mention of the words high quality could actually lead to a high click-through rate. We normally expected high quality to play an equally important role for B2B, and we were honestly speaking a little surprised that it didn't play as important a role for B2B.
For round 3, we wanted to test 2 different kinds of messaging, one promoting your product and one promoting your brand. We know that brand perception plays an important role in advertising, so we wanted to see if it could outperform messaging that's more focused on your product features. We found that there was actually a tie for this round. For this test, we analyzed data from retailers who sell both B2B and B2C. Every ad group in our study contained one product-focused ad and one brand-focused ad, so they were competing against each other in each ad group to be shown on the search engine results page. We found that product messaging won with a click-through rate lift of 4%, but we determined that this was too close to declare a winner, so we're calling this round a tie. Udayan, does this tie surprise you, and why do you think this might have been the case?
Again, this was an interesting one. I mean, mentioning the brand name in ad copy boosts CTR for the popular brand retailers. So If your brand is really popular, it is well known, then mentioning the brand name is something which we would very highly recommend. But lesser known brands, somehow we have found that they tend to get a higher click-through rate because by really emphasizing the product virtues or the product qualities as such. One very interesting thing which has really come out and which we would very highly recommend for all of you retailers who probably have a local presence, or maybe in those cases where your brands may be more well known locally, to do some geo-specific targeting with the brand ad copies as well. Let us say we work with a fantastic company called Kansas City Steaks. So I think there is a huge value in terms of testing ad copy which emphasizes Kansas City Steaks in Kansas City. So from that perspective, I think even though the brand not be an exceptionally strong national brand, but even if it is strong in certain geographies, it can definitely benefit from brand messaging. In terms of the B2B categories, it seems to be product and benefit, which is to an extent understandable. Because normally people buy benefits. Again, I am sort of probably saying something which is very cliched and well known. They don't really buy the actual product as such. So from that perspective, B2B is something which definitely is understandable as to why this works.
Thanks, Udayan. For our fourth round, we wanted to test product-focused messaging again, but this time against user-generated quotes in the ad copy. We know that online shoppers are increasingly looking up reviews and ratings before they buy online, so we know that they care what other shoppers think. Knowing this, we wanted to test putting a positive user review right in the ad copy itself to see how it performs. For this round, product messaging was our winner. For this test, we analyzed data from retailers who sell both B2B and B2C. Product messaging won with a click-through rate lift of 34%. However, we wanted to point out that both ad messaging strategies did perform well, so we do feel that this is something worth testing in your account. Udayan, what insights do you have for why product messaging won?
This is actually very interesting, and honestly speaking, again, like any ad copy test, I would start with a disclaimer. There are certain brands, specifically certain fashion retail and apparel brands, jewelry brands, which probably are entirely built through social media. So from that perspective, I think that the user reviews still have an enormous amount of value. But this, in a very conventional retail, we have seen that product messaging has won. But both are great ad copy ideas. Ad copies that highlight the product USPs is what we have found to be exceptionally powerful, and specifically for complex products. So when I say complex products, if you really divide the entire spectrum of products that are purchased, depending on essentially the buying complexity versus the impulse behavior, we have normally found that complex buying decisions, normally the ad copies need to be a little more specific to the product USPs. Use of user quotes is something which can be definitely recommended as well. It's a new idea, and I'm really happy that Emma's team has really tested this out, because we sort of live in a very, very social world, a hyper-connected world which is always on essentially social media. So from that perspective, the user reviews are having an increasingly important role to play when it comes to any decision-making process or the influencing, or almost like acting as an influencer. So that's a great tactic to use, using user reviews and really adding some of those phrases or quotes in the ad copy, and again would be definitely worth testing. One idea, this was just born out of a very interesting book which is called, Location is Still Everything by Professor David Bell of Wharton. So Professor Bell actually was a speaker at our annual event last month, and he has a very interesting concept that he sort of very strongly believes in. So effectively, he says that, let us say, the buyers from Florida are much more likely to buy because of reviews, positive reviews by other buyers or shoppers in Florida. So he is essentially saying that that proximity really intensifies the overall intent, the purchase intent, quite significantly. So we have tried to bring it to the ad copy spectrum, or the Google AdWords ad copy spectrum, and we believe that it's definitely worthwhile testing the geo-targeted ad copies for top geos with user reviews from those geos. Again, as I mentioned, I already gave the example of Florida shopper places higher value on another Florida shopper's reviews. I would also very strongly recommend reading his book, Location is Still Everything, because a lot of the unique concepts really gets down to a fundamental point that internet is probably sort of bringing us all much closer now. So it is becoming a lot more localization of internet, which I thought was pretty interesting. Emma, back to you.
Thank you. For our fifth round, we wanted to test ads written in title case instead of normal sentence case. For this test, we wanted to see if ads could actually say the same exact thing, but have one outperform the other based solely on the way the ad is capitalized. For this round, we found that title case was our clear winner. We analyzed data from one of our largest B2C clients and tested ads that had the same exact ad copy, but one had the first letter of every word capitalized and one did not. We also wanted to note that we ran this test on a trademark ad campaign to get more traffic to collect data, which is why the click-through rates are so high. Overall, title case won by a landslide with a click-through rate lift of 50%. Udayan, why do you think writing ads in title case makes such a difference?
So this is, I think, one of the things which makes Google AdWords and the science behind AdWords so amazing, that there are certain human behavior insights that we get, which probably we may not really have as easy access to as we really get right being in the forefront managing search advertising campaigns. Now, somehow, again, the hypothesis, we are not by any stroke of imagination psychology department out here, but we somehow feel that using a title case wherein essentially you are sort of the first word of each, the first letter of each word in the phrase or the ad copy is basically capitalized. We feel that that somehow really makes each word stand out. And as a result of which, the searchers seem to prefer the extra emphasis that is laid on each word. As Emma's results really sort of prove, 50% is a huge number. So why not do it?
Round 6 is the first of our 3 mobile ad tests, where we wanted to focus on mobile shoppers in particular. For our first mobile ad test, we wanted to put our call to action of shop now with an exclamation point back to the test by comparing it to the call to action tap now. Since these ads appear on mobile devices, we wanted to find out if a call to action that prompts users to click or tap on their phone screens would be more effective. Before we reveal our results, we want to hear from you guys again. Which call to action do you think got the higher click-through rates on mobile? Shop now or tap now? I'm going to throw up our second poll. All right, I see some of you guys voting. I'm going to leave this up for a couple seconds and then I'll show the results. All right, let me share this with you guys. So it looks like the majority of us predict that shop now is going to be the better call to action. You guys were correct. For this round, we found that shop now was our winner. We analyzed data from one of our largest B2C retailers with a large mobile consumer base. I actually predicted that tap now was going to be more effective, but we found that shop now actually had a click-through rate of 223%. Udayan, why do you think this may have been the case?
Well, we at least correctly predicted it, and so did you. So which was very interesting. We would be very interested in comparing the results again in a year, given the increasing popularity of mobile taps. We believe that about 60 to 65% of this year's holiday season searches would really happen on the mobile devices. So the question, I don't really have an answer to this, Emma, but I think the question for all of you is it time for us to rename click-through rate? Probably call it tap-through rate yet?
For our second mobile round, we wanted to test 2 ways to use the space in your display URL, to promote your product or to promote your mobile website. While both practices are effective, we wanted to see if promoting a mobile site would be more effective for mobile users, since this strategy gives the user extra assurance that they're going to get a mobile-friendly experience once they click on your ad. For this round, we found that mobile site was the clear winner. For this test, we looked at our same B2C retailer with a large mobile consumer base. We found that promoting your mobile site in your display URL gave a click-through rate of 29%. Udayan, what insights do you have on why this tactic was more effective?
This is something which completely sort of blows my mind. This definitely comes as a big surprise. I mean, why would you think the customers or searchers actually are more likely to click just because you have mentioned mobile site? Well, I just can think of one reason, because though mobile searches continue to grow at an exponential rate, based on our research, we have seen that 60% plus websites are still not really mobile compatible, right? And even those who have a, let us say, what they call a mobile website, are not really doing much with the mobile website. So marketers, honestly speaking, I mean, can really sort of take advantage of this apparent sort of dissonance almost. Of course, if they have mobile websites, by simply mentioning mobile website, because just mentioning that seems to be attracting more customers to click on your ad, because people probably are, or customers are, quote unquote, so fed up of going to sites which are absolute suboptimal for mobile device usage.
For our last mobile round, we wanted to test promoting your product in your display URL once again, but this time against putting a promotional offer in your display URL, such as free shipping. Both of these display URL strategies are effective, but we wanted to put them to the test to see if one is actually better than the other. For this round, we found that product promotions were the clear winner. Once again, this test was performed on our same B2C client with a large mobile consumer base. We found that the promotional offer in the display URL gave a whopping click-through rate lift of 109%. Udayan, do these results surprise you, and why do you think they were the case?
Honestly speaking, this is probably the least surprising of all the findings, Emma. And the only reason is we live in a world where customers are constantly searching for the next best deal, the big deal, right? So mentioning the promo name has been a fairly commonly used strategy. And it's actually interesting to see that quite a few retail marketers are still not really taking advantage of this very simple advantage of post the slash in display URL, just adding the promotion, whether it is free shipping, whatever, $30 off, 10% off, whatever it is. But it almost is what we would call a mandatory best practice.
Last but not least, for our championship ad copy test, we wanted to find out once and for all what the best call to action is: shop now or buy now. We've often wrestled with which call to action to include in ad copy, as they're both essentially saying the same thing. So we decided to put it to the test and find out for ourselves. We ran this test across 10 different industries to get the full picture, and what we found surprised even us. Before I reveal the final results, I want to hear what you all think was the winner. Which call to action do you think was our ultimate champion? Shop now or buy now? I'm going to put up our last poll, and I'll give you guys a couple seconds to put your votes in. All right. I'll share this with you guys. So you guys were actually totally evenly split with a 50-50 between shop now and buy now. We found for our study that Shop Now was actually our ultimate ad copy champion. Shop Now won 5 out of 10 rounds with an average click-through rate lift of 116%, and Buy Now won with 4 out of 10 rounds with an average click-through rate lift of 49%. However, we wanted to point out that beauty and B2B were outliers in this experiment, and with them removed from our data set, Buy Now only won 2 out of 10 rounds with a click-through rate lift of 38.5%. We're declaring Shop Now our ultimate ad copy champ, but we do feel that this is worth testing for your industry to see if you get the same results. Udayan, can you share your insights on why Shop Now was our top performing call to action?
This was, honestly speaking, a very close battle, and I love the way that, Emma, that you were mentioning it, the championship winner, which is a great way of highlighting the importance of actually both these tactics, using Shop Now versus Buy Now. Now, in terms of, if you really look at certain product categories, specifically the B2B, the entire buyer behavior goes around starting from search to shop, which is shopping around or navigating and browsing through the different product assortment within the website, and finally buying. So again, a more complex buying decision, Shop Now seems to be a more appropriate call to action to use. In other more impulse product decisions, for example, let us say beauty products in this case, Buy Now definitely is preferable. But again, the difference between both of them is fairly low. And depending on your category, you may want to use either buy now or shop now. And very interestingly, I see, Emma, that this is, I think, the only poll where we have exactly 50% of all the attendees today have voted for shop now and 50% have voted for buy now. So fantastic guess, both of you, both the groups.
Before we wrap up our event, let's give it up for our first ever ad copy champions. Our winners today are Shop Now, High Quality, Product Messaging, Title Case, Mobile Site in the display URL on mobile, and Product Promotions in the display URL on mobile. If your guesses were correct or some of our results surprised you, let us know and tweet at us at NetElixir.
Thanks so much, Emma and Udayan, for that great presentation. Just one thing, if you want to evaluate your own ad copies, feel free to send us 10 of your best at emma@content@netelixir.com, and you'll receive your free ad copy scorecard. So the scorecard will grade your ad copies on 7 metrics, and then you'll receive recommendations from our expert team. Another added bonus, Emma also created an ad copy playbook, which captures today's findings plus more detailed research on the messages mentioned today. So if you're interested in that, email content@NetElixir to sign up for your free copy that you'll receive next week. So we're about to get into Q&A, so we have just a few minutes for a couple questions. The first one that came in was the actual conversion to rate considered in the shop now, buy now test.
Well, in this case, that was a great question, Chuck. I mean, yes, we considered the conversion rates as well, but again, it was very, very category dependent. So all of our results are essentially a byproduct or a result of essentially considering both conversion rates and click-through rates. Both. Yeah.
All right. Next question: do you need to write different types of ad copies for mobile campaigns?
Yes, you do actually want to write different kinds of ad copies for your mobile campaigns, particularly because your mobile users are seeing your ads on a totally different screen than your desktop users, and they definitely care if your website is going to give them a mobile-friendly experience. So as we showed in some of our mobile tests, it's definitely a good practice to make it clear from your ad copy that your website does in fact have a mobile-friendly design.
All right, and then final question for today, Emma, can you quickly clear up which is better for B2B, either shop now or buy now?
We found for B2B that buy now was the stronger call to action.
Again, a disclaimer from our side is it depends on the specific area of B2B as well. If you are looking at a very complex, evolved, where the person already doesn't know what to buy, they would probably spend a lot of time searching. In that case, shop now may be better, but there are certain B2B components where people already know what model, what product to buy. And in that case, buy now seems to be a lot more impactful.
All right, thank you all so much for attending our webinar today. We hope you found it useful. Thanks again, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.